Well, hi, Sarah. You look beautiful. First of all, how are you?
Just a little daytime makeup.
I love it. Good for you. Well, to start, I would love to talk about the end. I guess what was it like to sort of wrap up Kominsky Method, say goodbye to the show, say goodbye to this character that's been such a part of your life now for a few years. What was it like to say goodbye?
It was strange. I mean, it was in the midst of we shot this sort of late fall into like right before the holidays, so no vaccines yet at that point. We're in full COVID protocols. Um, so it was strange. We didn't get to have any of the sort of normal. I mean, the whole season was strange because of that, but then you don't even get to have a party or
Yeah.
even like a toast. Like we kind of had it, some Chuck and some people spoke, but that was kind of it. So that part of it made it extra strange.
Yeah, that sounds like kind of a bummer. I mean, was it when you guys were on set, were you able to sort of be close? I mean, could you feel sort of the camaraderie of your castmates and the crew, or was the shooting experience in and of itself just sort of like a microcosm of the world?
Yeah, I mean, we were at Warner Brothers and they have great protocols in place. And by the time we started shooting, they'd been shooting shows there for several months. So they kind of had it down, which was great. And everybody was great. Everybody was working hard to try to keep everybody safe. But that did mean like in between setups, normally you're sitting in chairs, but you're all kind of, at least all the actors are sitting together. But in this case, everybody was in their own little like room for the most part. And so, I was working with Kathleen Turner for the first time, and we did manage to talk and get to know each other some, but like we didn't get to go out to dinner. We
Oh,
didn't, you know what I mean? Like we didn't, it was like Thanksgiving happened while she was here. And I mean, in ordinary circumstances, she probably would have gone home. But if she hadn't, I would have been like, come to
oh
my
God.
Thanksgiving.
Unbelievable. Well, I know that was going to be my next question because, like, on the show, you've been afforded the opportunity, of course, to work with just like our murderer's row of
Yeah.
actors. And then you add Kathleen Turner to the mix, and it's just an embarrassment of riches. So, you said that you guys weren't really able to connect that much due to the circumstances, but what was it like being around her and what sort of presence did she bring to the set? Because she is so just larger than life. And you see that on the show and her performance. What was it just like being around Kathleen Turner for a while?
It was incredible. She's wonderful. She's so smart, so talented, so I mean, I think she's kind of exactly what you would think she would be. The one thing that was nice is there was still the hair and makeup trailer. And so we would get to spend time in there, and she would be, I would walk in and she would be like, okay, do you want to run lines? And I was like, yes, I do. And we would run lines. I mean, she's such a pro. She has such a theater background and that kind of ethic. So she's always ready to work, ready to have conversations about the work. Um, and she has great stories too. And she's just I just loved working with her so much. As I said, I wish we could have had more time to just like socialize, but I'm so lucky that I got the time with her that I did. It was great.
Well, it's so funny because you keep leading into my next question. It's like I'm thinking about you sitting around that set with Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, Paul Reiser. Like the chemistry that you guys have on screen is so palpable. But I imagine like what I really want to see is like I would pay thousands of dollars to see what happens when they yell cut, and then you guys are sitting around set and the stories that those three must have. I
The
mean,
stories.
in compare, yeah, like so what I mean, I don't need you to call anybody out, recall these stories that maybe are private, but was that sort of the vibe on set? Was it just like Paul and Michael and Kathleen just like telling stories about their careers?
I mean, one of my favorite scenes to shoot this season was a dinner table scene, which normally dinner table scenes are kind of a pain because they just take a while, but it was just the four of us sitting at the table. And, as I said, in between big setups where it's going to take a while, everybody gets like brought up, to their own little room. But, for little adjustments and stuff where we just got to like stay at the table together, it was so fun. It was also right before Thanksgiving. So everybody was kind of like, had that like, I don't know, vacations coming energy,
Sure.
Friday school energy. And, but yeah, so we didn't have as much of that as I would have liked, but the moments we had, we really ate them up. It was
Oh
so
my
fun.
God. I can only imagine. I loved one of my favorite things about this season with you is how you sort of played this role of sort of the younger influence, being like, we don't say that anymore. We don't do that anymore. Did any of that play out in real life with your co-stars? Were you sort of like the younger, hipper people, like co-star that people would look at and be like, Sarah, is this still cool?
I mean, let's not get crazy by calling it hip in any kind of a way.
Yeah.
The one thing I think I did is, but I did it so tentatively because I was like, I think I'm right about this. Was Megan the Stallion gets referenced in the script, and it's spelled Megan the Stallion,
Yeah.
and I said to Paul, I was like, maybe it's funnier if you say Megan the Stallion because you don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's Megan the Stallion. So that was maybe my only contribution. Otherwise,
Good one.
but it did make me laugh, the things that like Chuck's perspective of what somebody my age would know. Sometimes I was like, I'm not like 23 years old. So
Yeah.
like I might not be in my 60s, but I'm not 23 either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, it's flattering.
But no, I wouldn't say I contributed that much to the hypness. No.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I always love talking to people with comedy backgrounds, sketch and improv backgrounds. I'm wondering if there are still things that you bring to set every day, lessons that you maybe learned sort of years ago in sort of sketch or improv in your training. I know you taught, all of these things. Are there things that you still carry with you on sets every day that you learned maybe way back in the day?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think, improv gives you such a background for just rolling with whatever's happening and to not getting too stuck, I mean, this isn't the type of show where we would do 80 million takes of things, but you want to be able to react differently if the actor is giving something you differently, or maybe they get a note to try to take something from a certain tactic. You want to be there to respond to that and not just be a robot who's like doing it the same way every time. Though there is some of that you sort of have to unlearn when you're so used to improv of like, no, it's okay to do a take the same way multiple times.
Right.
Like you're wanting to always make it fresh and new, especially for the jokes. But and that, and I think we don't improvise a lot obviously on the show, but like sometimes maybe you have an opportunity to do a little bit of a button or or even ahead of time say, hey, talk to Chuck. Chuck was pretty open of if you were like, oh, can I maybe do this or change this a little bit? And everybody's very collaborative, wanting to make it work.
Yeah,
But I think it's probably more about just that spirit of sort of being able to be on your toes and roll with whatever's going on is
totally.
served well, I hope.
Yeah, I think so. As we fingers crossed here, knock on wood, sort of get back to maybe hopefully doing things in front of live audiences again, have you given any thought to your own career and maybe sort of getting in front of live audiences again, whether that is maybe theater, whether that's live comedy again, sketch, improv, whatever? Do you have that like urge right now to like perform in front of audiences? Have you given any thought to what you might like to do moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is just is more the camaraderie with the other actors. So
Yeah,
like doing an improv show or something and just getting to like be in that moment with those people, and then the audience becomes a part of that too. I definitely miss that. I've done a few like Zoom improv shows, and it kind of it's fun. It forces you to be creative in a different way. You can
sure.
have fun with it, but that sort of connection that you have between performers and then again having the audience be a part of that too. Yeah, it's definitely irreplaceable. So I'll be, most of the stage kind of stuff I do is smaller venues anyway. So I'm excited to get back to that. And I'm excited as a patron of the arts to get back in the audience
I
too.
know. I know. I hear you. You bring up Chuck, and Chuck Laurie is such a sort of, I don't want to say enigma, but I mean, just the success that he has had is just unbelievable, and it's showing no sign of stopping.
Nope.
Now that you've done 3 seasons, you've been around him. Have you clued in at all into what makes him him, and what makes his material so unique, and have audiences really connect with it on such a visceral level? What makes Chuck Laurie so special?
I mean, if you could do what he does, everybody would be doing it, right? So there's always going to be some element of mystery there. I think as a person, he seems to draw a lot from his life experience. And I think at this point he has a lot of confidence in what he does in his storytelling, and he trusts himself. He has that sort of balance of trusting himself, but also being open to things changing or being surprised in the moment. And I think, I think he's a curious person, and I think curious people always manage to be current in a way because they're always absorbing the new things that come at them. Yeah, I mean, he's just a gifted writer. That's just something he has. And for our show for the third season, he was home like everybody else, so he just sat and wrote it all out,
Mhm.
just him by himself.
That's no easy job.
Yeah, no, but I mean, for him, I don't know if it's
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, maybe he does. Yeah, I'm
I
over here like, ugh.
know, I'm like, oh, I should probably be doing something. And
I
he's like,
know.
I'll write a whole 3 shows.
I know, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of other shows, I always think it's fun, especially I think over the past year, to sort of ask people what they've been watching and what they've been enjoying. Have there been any things recently or over the course of the past year that you've watched that you've really really loved? I'm putting you on the spot. I hate when people do.
No, I mean, I have a bunch. I mean, I will preface this by saying that I wanted to retain any mental health that I possibly could in this time. So anything the slightest bit dark or serious, no, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Not for me, not right now. But we finally watched The Good Place, which was so delightful and sort of the perfect thing to watch right now because it's about this sort of other world that may or may not exist. So nothing invading from the real world really. And then What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I
So,
could
so
see I
good.
could see you in that world very easily.
Please tell them that.
I will. I'll send an email after the Zoom, Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah. Send a couple emails.
Yeah,
Get
I'll
me
see
on.
what I can do. I'll see what I can do. Yeah, those are great choices. I know. Well, to wrap up, this will come out after the season premieres, but this is still a little bit of a mild spoiler. I'm not going to give anything too much away, but the season kind of, well, I guess the show too kind of ends with a certain somebody receiving a fairly prestigious television award. I'm curious what sort of another one final award season run with this cast and this crew and the show would mean to you.
I mean, it's so interesting. For me, it would mean getting to see everybody again and like getting to celebrate because we didn't have that like party where we got to hug and say, "Hey, I appreciate you. This has been an amazing experience working with you." And so for me, it would just mean we would get to all be together at some of these places again. And um, you know, I mean, I always, I just think Michael and Chuck and now Kathleen are so wonderful. So I just, I love the idea of them getting some recognition, but more than anything, it would mean we'd get to like, put on fancy outfits and pretend we're, movie stars for a day. Well, pretend in my case, just be them in their case.
Yeah, Michael Douglas, I don't think needs to
Yeah.
do
No
pretending.
pretending. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just be together, and get to kind of celebrate the end together, which we didn't really get to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, fingers crossed. I have a sneaking suspicion that you might be able to do that.
So we'll see.
I know. Well, it's funny watching that scene in the show and just like seeing an awards audience full of people. I was like, I
Yeah,
remember that.
it was
I remember
Hollywood magic. There weren't that many people there.
I know. I bet you guys, man,
Yeah,
so good. The things they can do these days, Sarah.
I know. Modern technology.
Crazy. Well, yeah. I mean, congratulations on the show. Congratulations on everything. And yeah, I think we'll be seeing you at some of those shows later this year. But best of luck with all of that, and best of luck in the future. Can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.